Undercover CEO found a dishwasher working double shifts without pay. What he uncovered was, when Anthony Reyes, the 48-year-old CEO of the rapidly expanding Golden Fork Hospitality Group, decided to go undercover as a busboy in one of his own restaurants. He thought he'd be looking for inefficiencies, maybe some customer service issues, not heartbreak. On his second night working the late shift, he noticed the dishwasher, a tall, wiry man in his 40s, named Miguel. His hands were cracked from hot water, and his back was bent from hours of lifting trays. But what caught Anthony's attention was that Miguel was still scrubbing dishes long after the kitchen staff had left. By midnight, Anthony had finally worked up the nerve to ask, "Man, you've been here since I got in at 9 a.m., don't you get a break?" Miguel smiled faintly. "Breaks are for people who can afford them." Over the next week, Anthony learned the truth. Miguel wasn't on the payroll. He'd been volunteering for almost 2 months, coerced by the restaurant's corrupt general manager, Mr. Clark, who promised him a real job once there's an opening. In reality, Clark was pocketing the labor savings, letting Miguel work from sunrise to close in exchange for leftover food and vague promises. But it went deeper. Miguel's wife was in the hospital recovering from surgery. The couple had no health insurance, and Miguel had taken the trial position out of desperation to keep up with medical bills. His teenage daughter was also working evenings at a grocery store, trying to help. Anthony kept his identity quiet, watching Clark's smug arrogance and noting every policy violation. Finally, after 2 weeks, he called Miguel into the office, not Clark's office, but his own, at headquarters. When Anthony revealed who he was, Miguel's hands trembled. "I came here to find out what was going wrong in my company," Anthony said, his voice steady, "and instead, I found what was stealing its soul." That same afternoon, Clark was fired on the spot, with legal action pending for wage theft and fraud. Miguel was immediately offered a full-time, fully paid position with benefits, not just as a dishwasher, but as kitchen supervisor. Anthony also paid off the hospital bills in full, telling Miguel's wife, "Your husband's work ethic is worth more than gold." 2 months later, Miguel stood in front of the entire company at a staff meeting, now in a crisp chef's coat, thanking everyone for believing in him. Anthony simply stood in the back, smiling. He had come undercover looking for problems. He found a hero instead. Anthony Reyes had built the Golden Fork Hospitality Group from a single diner into a multi-million-dollar restaurant chain. But lately, customer complaints and high staff turnover had been creeping in. The board suggested cost-cutting. Anthony suspected something else, something toxic was happening behind closed doors. So, he shaved his beard, traded his tailored suits for thrift store jeans, and applied for a busboy position at one of his own restaurants under the name Tony Ramirez. The dinner rush was chaos, plates clattering, servers shouting orders, customers snapping fingers for attention. But what caught Tony's eye wasn't the front of house, it was the back. A man stood at the sink, his arms elbow-deep in steaming water. He moved with mechanical precision, scrub, rinse, stack, never looking up, never slowing down. By midnight, the kitchen was empty, except for him. Tony leaned on the doorframe. "Tony, hey man, you've been here since this morning, right?" Dishwasher smiles faintly. "Yeah." "Tony, don't you get a break?" "Dishwasher? Breaks are for people who can afford them." The words hit Tony harder than he expected. Between bussing tables, Tony learned the man's name, Miguel Alvarez, 43 years old, former construction worker, married with a teenage daughter. His wife was in the hospital after surgery. Miguel never complained. But Tony noticed the details. The same clothes every day. Calloused hands cracked from detergent. A slight limp when he thought no one was looking. Then came the shock. Miguel wasn't on the payroll. The general manager, Mr. Clark, had offered him a trial 2 months ago. No pay, no benefits. Just leftover meals and a promise of a real job when there was an opening. Anthony's blood boiled. Tony was mopping when he overheard Clark laughing with the shift supervisor. "Clark, Why hire another dishwasher? That guy'll work for free as long as we keep him hoping. Supervisor, and you're pocketing the labor cost. Clark, exactly. Management bonus is gonna be sweet this quarter. Tony gripped the mop handle so tight his knuckles turned white. He'd built this company on integrity and, here it was, rotting from the inside. Anthony called Miguel into the office after closing. Miguel looked nervous, wiping his hands on his apron. Anthony, sit down, Miguel. I'm not just a busboy. Miguel frowns. What do you mean? Anthony, removing his fake name badge. My name is Anthony Reyes. I own this company. Miguel, silent, eyes wide. You, Anthony. I came here to find problems. What I found was a man keeping this kitchen alive while being taken advantage of. He slid a folder across the desk. Miguel's official job offer. Full-time, kitchen supervisor, full pay, full benefits, and back pay for the 2 months Clark had stolen from him. Miguel, voice breaking. Why? Why would you do this for me? Anthony, because you've been giving this place more than most people ever will, and because no one takes advantage of my people. That afternoon, Clark was escorted out by security. His employment terminated effective immediately, with legal action for wage theft pending. 2 months later, the company held its quarterly staff meeting. Miguel walked on stage in a spotless white chef's coat, his daughter and wife now healthy watching from the front row. Miguel, I came here thinking I was worthless. That's what desperation does to you. But someone saw me not as free labor, but as a man worth investing in. In the back of the room, Anthony clapped quietly, his face unreadable, but his chest tight with pride. He had gone undercover to find flaws in his business. Instead, he'd found a hero in the heart of the kitchen sink.